Hi everyone, and thank you for being here. I hope you still have full energy for this last session, because we will love to hear your thoughts and questions at the end on the topic that our panelists will be talking about. So this session is dedicated to cities and how do they see the implementation of new mobility technologies in the city and transport planning. So as we have been seeing, the market is moving really fast and there are new mobility technologies and solutions that have been emerging these last years. And then on the other side, we have a growing pressure on the freight and passenger transport system. We have changing urban conditions, and we also have the need to achieve environmental targets. So all of this has resulted into an increasing need to have more reliable, sustainable, and innovative solutions. However, how are cities preparing to implement them? Are they ready to include them in their city and transport planning? So we'll be talking about this with our 4 panelists who are representing 4 different cities. And I'm going to introduce them. So there is Sara Udina. She's an architect and urban planner, head of the Cities Department of Urban Planning at Município of PRAT de LLOBREGAT, next to Barcelona. And before this, she was deputy to the urban planning manager at the Barcelona City Council. So she has more than 15 years of experience in the public sector, planning the future of cities. She works in the field of urban planning in a broad sense, so mostly city and spatial planning, new developments, master plans, so not mobility in specific, but broader city planning. Then Raúl Sánchez, he's the Director of Strategy Alliances and Open Innovation at Rozas Innova, a public innovation company of Rozas, which is a city next to Madrid with 100,000 inhabitants, and it's actually the 5th richest city in Spain by GDP per capita. And there they promote the city's technological and innovative ecosystem, connecting talent, entrepreneurship, companies, and public administrations for the development of a smart and sustainable city. So there he has contributed to the recent update of the SAMP, and in particular he has prepared the chapter on mobility for the future of the city. And he's also a member of the board of the Center for Innovation in Technology for Development of the Polytechnic University of Madrid. Pedro Moreira, he's the head of the Transport Authority and Mobility Management Unit at Município de Braga in Portugal, and he's in charge of monitoring, supervising, and adapting the offer to the needs and to the existing contract. And there he closely collaborates with the municipal transport operator to achieve the municipal strategy of promoting public transportation. So he's also responsible for the implementation of the new traffic and mobility control center of the city, so a management tool that will contribute to the transformation of the city and will enable citizens and public policymakers to take decisions based on clear and objective data. He has years of experience in the area of transport, mobility, and urban planning, and he's a member of the European Commission Expert Group on Urban Mobility. And then last but not least, we have Giuseppe Ciantera. He's a project manager in mobility management from Torino, and is in charge of the development of coordination of EU projects that foster sustainable mobility, electric vehicle and charging stations deployment in the city, management of sharing mobility services, and data collection, evaluation, and monitoring of the urban mobility trends. So thank you so much for being here. And I think we could start with a quick round where each one of you can say a few words about how you see the inclusion of these new mobility technologies in your cities. So what is the situation right now? Where does the city want to go? What are the main problems? Then also, if you have any recent project related to the topic, maybe you can also tell us about it. So, who wants to start?
We're all eager to start.
Okay.
Thank you very much for having me. Some of you maybe have come by airplane. Then if you did, and if you were sitting next to the window, you have seen El Prat de Llobregat, which is the city that hosts the airport. It's the city that I work for. It's a flat city. It's a very compact and dense city, small but not tiny, and full of complexities. It has residential areas, but also logistics and, of course, the airport. So you can imagine many complexities in terms of mobility. So, and it has 65,000 inhabitants. So where does El Prat wants to go in terms of, well, our politicians, the ones who set the vision, are committed with the current climate situation. And therefore, in 2020, they approved a declaration of climate emergency to fight climate change. And that was a starting point for taking many actions on this direction. What are we doing in terms of mobility? Well, el PRAT wants to change its mobility model. You have to know that if we don't take into account the airport and the port, which are pretty big things, more or less 34% of greenhouse gas emissions are coming from motorized mobility. So el PRAT wants to be a pedestrian city with less cars, more bicycles, as many other cities want. And in terms of energy, also el PRAT is doing many great things right now, which I won't explain. But I want to highlight one project that embraces both strategies, mobility and this new way of looking at the energy aspect. We have a project that consists on the fleet that our workers are using in the city council. It's electrical, we are using electrical vehicles. We are putting this fleet for a car sharing project. Oh, I'm explaining a little bit bad, but I will try to make it better. So, we are doing this project that consists of a car sharing electrical vehicle. Our fleet, it's now offered to the citizens, so outside our working hours, they can use it. So for that, we have developed two apps, one for using the cars, opening the cars and starting the cars, and another app for using the charging points. And we want also companies to join this project. We want companies that contribute with their fleet, electrical fleet, to this project. All is toward a more sustainable mobility and electrified mobility, of course. And we are doing this with technology, thanks to technology. So this kind of projects, I think that fit perfectly well with we have heard before. I remember somebody saying that artificial intelligence is said 5 things: electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, shared mobility, mobility as a service, and sustainable transport. And when I heard it, I thought, well, we're doing quite well, because some of these things is the things that we are doing, even we are a small city. But with this project, may sound not that much, but we are the first city in Catalonia with the biggest electrical car sharing vehicle fleet. So.
Thank you, Sara. So the others, please briefly explain your situation and your...
Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting me. We have a challenge also that to keep you awake until the end. We know we are the last people, the last panel. Our challenge is not answer. Our challenge is really make the right question to the people and make the right question to all the different stakeholders in our city. Our city is a small city, 100,000 people. We are really a green city. Half of our territory is green and is environmentally protected. And what we do is, with our company, we are 100% company by the municipality. We are like a gazelle. We are like people dancing samba, and we have the municipality slow motion. It's really all we know it happens. And to really to have the answers to that questions, we need to be fast, and we need to be at the right time and the right speed of what things are happening. We are using different tools that, like for example, open innovation, to really to find the right people and to the right knowledge to solve all the problems that we have. And trying to find our city as a sandbox to try different technologies, because what we know is we really don't know what is going to happen in the next 10 years. If someone knows, I would be really happy to bet with you. But what we have to prepare, and our main task is to prepare the city to be flexible, to prepare the civil servants who are working in the institutions to be flexible, to have different regulations that have the capacity to use, for example, the last Christmas we have a food truck, an autonomous food truck. It was the first in Europe that were driving around the main street in our city, and it was really difficult to put it in place. And for that reason, our main challenge is that we have to be able to prepare the city with regulation, and also working, in our case, we are a small team of 20 people connected to the municipality, connected with the different stakeholders to find the right solutions and and to prepare the city for the future, what I think is one of the most important things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well,
it's not working, I think. No.
it's working now?
No.
No, well, I can try to speak louder. It's not my...
Try this, please. Sorry. Try this.
It's working now?
Yeah.
Now it's working. The question was mainly the kind of innovation that we have in the city, and the city of Braga. First, I must make a point to begin. The city of Braga is a small city for the level of European sizes, but is the third city in Portugal. Every time something is going on in Portugal, we have two metropolitan areas in Portugal, and then Braga is also an important city for the country. Regarding innovation, the cities in Portugal, but mainly the small cities in Portugal, are not well prepared for innovation. Innovation is something that happens from the outside, and then is tried to be incorporated inside. However, from the last 3-4 years, we are trying to work the other way around. We are trying to pull the innovation to the city, and we are trying as a city to go to the stakeholders and to ask them what we should do, how we should do to reply, to answer to the needs of the population. So right now we are trying to invest in technology, in data, in traffic management, also in the knowledge of the mobility in the city, not only the traffic mobility, but also the pedestrian movements, the cycling movements, how we connect everything in a single ecosystem. When we are able to do that, we will be able to answer much more to the people's needs. For instance, we had last year a project, a pilot from the IT Urban Mobility. It was called Bicification. And the idea of that project was to monitorize the cyclists, a small number of cyclists, 500 cyclists, to understand how they move in the city, what are their needs, the kind of movements they do each day, in order for us to be able to give our decision makers the possibility to act according to that data. So when we are talking about innovation to the cities, we are mainly interested in making the best decisions possible. And that kind of technology is much more easier to have but sometimes it's not that easy to implement in an old, very rigid structure in the city. So that's a problem that we have.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And Giuseppe, you want to add something about Torino?
Hi, Giuseppe. I come from the city of Torino, and Torino is a big city of 900,000 inhabitants, and with the neighborhoods we are 1.5 million people. We are in a very important issue because we have one of the most polluted areas in Europe, and we have to solve this problem, but we have difficult to solve this. So we have a lot of investment on technology, and we had the core of this investment is a private company called 5T that is owned by the municipality of Torino, the province of Torino, the metropolitan area, and the region, Piedmont. So all the public authorities of the area work out together and invest in technology with one unique company. So this company can have the force to invest in technology and can integrate all the information in the region. And they invest, in this moment we invest a lot in sensors. We had a lot of electromagnetic loops. Now we are searching to invest in camera, radar, and other instruments, other tools that can give us a better information on how the people move. And also they catch information from the mobile phones, from phone interview, and we have a project that managed to track the bicycle, with a hardware device that the people have to mount with the bike. And this is very important in this moment to have the best information we can, because if we want to plan better in so big city and solve this so big problem like the pollution, but also the global warming, we need to have the most information we can have.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all for this overview and the concrete examples. I think we can see that actually mobility technologies are interesting for the cities, especially when it comes to promoting a more sustainable mobility, right? So, as you know, the Harmony project is focused on helping cities integrate these new mobility technologies through the city and transport planning. So could you please explain how have you been planning urban space and mobility in your cities up to now? So if you use any tools, like for example, simulation tools, or what are the problems that you have with them? I don't know, maybe Raúl, you can start since you have recently developed the new SAMP, or also Sara, who has the point of view of a urban planner.
Okay, I think most of the cities use the same technologies, using data, some consultancy, some internal data, whatever. And what we use is open innovation to put together different stakeholders and to have quality information about that. We work with companies, with citizens, with neighbors, with associations, and asking the questions to try to see what is the problem today, but the most important thing, and what is difficult, what the type of city that they would like to have in the future. Because when we are talking about future in technology in a city, we are talking what kind of city that we would like to have. It's difficult to have the answer, but what we think to have to prepare is the way and the path to the future. And with all the information that we have with them, we have different working groups, and all the information were really useful to, in some ways, to understand what the type of city the people would like to have. 100% they would like to have a sustainable city. They don't mind what type of vehicle that we are going to use. They don't mind. What they would like is that the city must be easy mobility for them. It's no matter what type, is our conclusion. We have to prepare with autonomous vehicles in the future, with air taxis or wherever to the roof. Will be prepared to, you call a taxi and in your roof that keep you to the airport. But what is important is we have also an instrument that will be for the next 10 years. It's a direct communication with a lot of people to really to keep alive the idea of the city, of how the technologies are entering in a city are really not bothering the people. Because I remember the famous quote of Henry Ford, where he said, if I ask the people, what do you like to have? People will ask, fastest horse wheel. This is the problem when you ask people today. People really want to solve the problem today, but it's difficult to know about the future. It's the reason we put really, and we were interested in to think about what is the type of mobility that they would like to have. For example, people under 20 years old, they are not obtaining driver licenses. Today, for example, in Spain, half of the people from less than 22 years old are not obtaining driving licenses. 20 years ago, it was the opposite. Why? Because the models of ownership in the vehicle are changing. For what we are expecting, for example, in 10 years, there will be less vehicles in the cities. Mm-hmm. For that reason is we have to be prepared for that changes. It's a flexible city, flexible people, and open-minded to the future. Well, I think is the key.
So planning has to be flexible also. Okay, thank you. Sara, you want to add something?
Yes, mobility planning in my city, well, in most of the cities in Catalonia, it depends on the approach. For instance, for new developments, our current regulations tells you that you have to have a mobility plan next to the master plan. And then we hire consultants to do the simulations and the different scenarios. And in the theoretical world, we choose best results and best scenarios. But sadly, it's not that way. Normally, decisions are taken, and then simulations come at the end just to test if your decisions were right or wrong, or just to adjust some things. But technology in new development plans, according to mobility, comes at the end of the process. And I know it shouldn't be like this, but normally it takes this. And when rethinking the existing city, what normally happens, at least in El PRAT, is that expert knowledge is used over technology when taking decisions. Because it's more or less the same as I explained just now. Because politicians decide that this street has to be pedestrian, the other, they want a cycling path there, and simulations come just to make sure you're not doing anything really bad, but decisions are not based on data. Technology is used maybe not in the correct way, but it's like this, more or less.
Okay, so maybe we could say that simulation are sometimes used in the planning process, but other times it's the expert knowledge that prevails, right?
Yes, I guess that's also something that has to be, that depends on the city of my city. The city I work for, our staff is limited, and that's, I heard somebody saying that we have to, innovation is out there, don't work alone. And I agree completely with this sentence. The problem is that small-sized cities have difficulties in access that technology.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to add something, or should we go to it? You want to say something?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. In our city, in Pasteur, is the same situation, I know. But in last years, first of all, the public transport company used it to build build a strategic model for public transport. They use it to evaluate how to better manage the public transport. It is very useful to do this before the politics can choose. And locally, for some particular node, we use to make some micro simulation to evaluate the impact of the works that you to do.
Okay, thank you. So we've learned a bit about the current way of planning. So now going back to the development of new mobility technologies and solutions, as we have seen and we have said, the private sector is moving really fast. However, the inclusion of such technologies in the cities must be done through the city or transfer planning, which is actually done by public administrations. So the question would be, do you think that public administrations are keeping up with the market? So do you think that the current way of planning that you have just explained is useful, or maybe is it outdated when it comes to including these new forms and disruptive forms of mobility? Or what are the challenges that they present?
Only a few words.
Okay.
As I said before, we have this organizational model where we have this company that integrates all the system and offer a very advanced technical skill for. So I think it's not a problem to the technology.
Okay.
I think one thing that we use that is very useful is like innovative public procurement. But because sometimes you don't know what technology really need or what technology really are in the market that really fits and solves your problem. For example, we used the innovative public procurement to find, for example, during all this year, to build a digital twin of the city, and to make a simulation, a real simulation, for example. But for example, if you are a small city, sometimes innovative public procurement helps you to find the right thing. Yeah. Otherwise, you will have technology companies selling what they need, not what do you need.
Okay.
I think that what you said, if people is up to date with the market, for me and from my experience, what is mainly important is having politicians with vision, with ambitious vision. After that, we need directors that are keen to implement those visions, and staff eager to be up to date with what is happening. And this combination of an innovative spirit and curiosity for what other cities are doing is what makes place for technology to come and start new things. But you need this environment, a positive environment to launch projects like this. Okay. And then technology appears and makes everything easy, but you need all the rest.
Thank you. Pedro, you want to say something?
Yes, just a note. Sometimes I feel that we were talking about two different worlds when we were talking in the previous panel about flying robots and about drones and autonomous vehicles, and then what we are talking about here within the cities, and that's a gap that we need to surpass, because it's not possible to have the entities that will implement all these technologies in the cities to have so many problems thinking about how to do that. Obviously, we need to find a way to do that, but we also need that the companies and the innovators and universities and so on to come to us and to say, well, I have the solution for your problem. So are you able to join this kind of work together and to find, to answer the needs of your citizens? Because in the end of the day, we are all here to give the citizens the solution for their problems. And when you ask about challenges for us sometimes is how to introduce this strange body that is innovation in a organization that is not used to. And we shouldn't have that problem. We should have the same problem that the innovators have, that to find the solution, and as soon as we find the solution, we are able to implement it, and that is not possible yet.
Okay, and so thank you for highlighting the current problems. However, I think as someone mentioned that you would not agree that simulating and being able to predict the effect that a certain measure or a new mobility technology would have in the city, maybe it would make it easier for local authorities to take a decision. So in this regard, the Harmony project has developed the Model Suite, which is a tool that harmonizes spatial and multimodal transport planning models and allows local authorities to model the future scenarios and evaluate policies and new technologies and solutions for both passenger and freight transport. So this way they can explore and evaluate such solutions and their impact and obtain evidence-based recommendations to support the decision thinking, for example, to update the SAMs or urban development plans in order to enable these new forms of mobility. So, for example, some of the strengths that this Model Suite tool has is that it embraces real-life complexity of disruptive mobility services and technologies, so including drones and autonomous vehicles, as we have seen. It also takes into consideration the interdependencies of economy, social cohesion, land use and transport demand and supply, and it can also be combined with the independent modeling and planning tools that you already have in place in your cities. And this is already the last question, it would be how do you think you could benefit from such a tool when it comes to implementing new technologies in the planning of urban space and mobility? Do you think it would be useful to actually model and predict how a certain measure would impact the city at all levels before actually taking a decision on it?
Well, I have the micro, so yes, of course it is. It is very important to be aware of all the information possible before we take a decision. So if we have this kind of tool that could give us the information about the impact on traffic, social impact, economical impact, and so on, it will be a fantastic tool. When we talk about data decision making, we are talking about using tools to take the best decision possible. So if we have a tool to help us to do that, it will be great. But we have to look at this as a tool and not as the god of decisions. The decision still is a political, strategic, and elected decision. We are always talking in democracy, so who is there is responsible for a decision. What a tool can do is to help them or us to make the best decision possible. And the best decision possible is not a decision that is made only in one aspect of the city life. It's a decision that takes into account several different arguments and perspectives and different people and different ways to look at the same problem. But to give us an overall look of a single decision, it will be great. And I really think that this kind of tool could start being implemented in these pilots and to try to put it in to understand what is the impact of implementing an autonomous vehicle, for instance, and to have this piloting in the cities so that the decision to upgrade this kind of tool to the rest of the city could be much more solid.
I think everybody would like to try something that gives you the right information to make decisions. But I think one of the main problems that we have in the public sector is not the technology. It's the cultural change that you need with the people who have to make the decision. In my opinion, it's one of the most complicated things. It's because public sector really is not get paid to innovate. It not get paid to really be the first. Usually, nobody wants to be the first. It will really happen when you are being brave to take to make decisions. No? Technology, in my opinion, is not the most complicated thing in every innovation that we put in place. Is the cultural aspect of every technology and the impact of every technology, and obviously, you need the right data to support the decisions you are going to take. But usually, sometimes decisions are going from the right side. You need something that justifies the decision that you are going to make. It will usually happen.
Okay.
From my point of view, I would love to use some of this technology, because always give you some sites and some information that you didn't take into account, and so it's always an opportunity to see things in a different way or to plan better. So I completely agree with my colleagues here.
Okay, you want to say something? Okay.
Sorry for words. I agree totally with the opinion of my colleagues, and but in my opinion, it's not only important that these tools can give us the most wide information about the choice you have to do. I can bring an example. In the USMP of Torino, there are several scenarios evaluation. In the scenario where we improve the public transport, we have less use of bike. In the scenario where you improve the bike use, we have less use of public transport. But we need to have all the information possible to can choose what's the best for because we have to choose where to invest, because we have very low funds and we have so much money to invest to everything we want. So it's important to give a support for the political, to the decision makers, to better understand what is the implication of the choose, not only for the key parameters of the transport, but also, and for me it's important, the economy impact of the choice. And also I want to say last things that we need also a lot of information to support the choice, because in Torino we have a lot of people like that. When we made bike paths, for example, says that they are not used for the peoples, but we need to have sensors and measure that can demonstrate the use and the impact of we are doing of our choices.
Okay, well, thank you all for your interventions. I think we could better understand what are the challenges that cities face when including new technologies or taking decisions related to mobility. Maybe if we had to highlight something, it would be the fact that you all agreed that simulating and predicting the effect that a certain measure would have before actually taking it would be beneficial, although it's not always possible. I think that makes the link with the Harmony project, as this is what the project is aimed at. So thank you so much again. And now I think we may have some time for questions, if you don't want to go to the cocktail already. So if anyone has a question, please raise your hand and go ahead.
Oh, wow, that was fast. Hi, thank you. Just a question to the heads of city departments. How open are you to work with startups on providing these solutions for the needs that you just mentioned? Yeah, both. Madrid, I mean, Rozas.
In our case, we are very lucky because Our innovative and entrepreneurial ecosystem is very big. In the region of Madrid, we are the second largest city of number of startups. What we have is a hub. We have two different hubs connected with startups. For example, when we are launching a challenge, we connect with all the startups, but also startups around the world. For example, we use blockchain. For example, with Innova, with LLOA, we have, for the last 2 years, we have a challenge using this technology in the city. And the challenge will be what type of solution do you have, for example, using, for the next year, for a smart city using blockchain. Usually we have like 30, 40 different proposals from around the world. And for us, it's very important because we use open innovation because we know we don't have all the information. And we are sure that we don't know where, and I don't care where it is. We will find a really great solution for the problem that we have. And we can escalate and say, for example, with another city, it will be great. This is our spirit because we think innovation is to avoid that people copy you. It's the opposite. What I want is all the cities copy what we are doing because it will be right.
Hi, afternoon.
I believe that the question was for everyone. Well, in Braga, we are quite open to relation with startups. Right now, we have already in course one program that is called Challenge My City. So we have been defining some challenges that we are going to launch to the ecosystem of startups and innovation, and try to find between them the best solution possible for our challenges. But we have also every year a budget for challenges that we want to be, for problems that we want to have solved, and we usually go to the startups, to the universities, and we are very open to new solutions that come up.
In Turin, we have an organization called the House of Emergent Technology, where we allow the company to to try their technology for free in the city. We allow to use the spaces and made the authorization for free. So if they want to use a product, their technology, they can come to Torino without problem. And the process is very fast.
I think we had another question, maybe last question.
Yeah. Hi, afternoon. Thank you for such an interesting discussion. And my question is related to the previous one, and it is more, but it's more focused on your side. And it is when it comes to how to move from innovation to, for instance, commercial deployments, or actually deploying a technology to solution something. In my experience, there is a gap between what the city or the government or the institution are able or keen to invest, for instance, to deploy that technology. So even when you are able and you are open to invite startups, providers, vendors, solution providers to try things and to try to figure out how to solve problems, what the grade of maturity that you are seeing in your experience, and because you are probably the influencers of the decision makers, how do you see that from your side to be able to say yes to deploy actually the technology after that the solution is found and it needs some economic efforts to make it happen?
different levels of decision here. What us as a city want to promote and what we want to support is the possibility of new technologies and initiatives and startups to have this test bed in the city where they can test and to deploy the solution in a controlled way with a pilot or this small project. But the next step is much more on the side of startup of the solution. What I believe is that if the solution really works and it answers to the needs of the city, after that the city is going to say yes to the solution, of course, and it's going to implement it.
We're out of time already, or?
It's not working. And now?
Oh, yeah.
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 You have more time.
Extra time for me. Well, but I really believe that the city is able to understand if the solution is good or not, and then to support the implementation. But if the solution is ready or not to the market, is on the startup, is on the innovation side, innovator side this time. I believe that is very good for a startup to have this test bed in a city where in real conditions they can see if their solution that they idealized is good enough to be implemented. I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah.
In my opinion, I think to try to use whatever with a city, the impact for your startup, it will be enormous. It's not you can have an experience with a company, and it's great. But you try and you have a pilot using a city as your, but to try whatever thing, you have really a big potential to sell your solution to other places. For example, with the challenges that we have using blockchain technology, the startup that won the last year was is in Barcelona. They are really big, a really big jump. Thanks to that pilot that they are doing, they were able, for example, to work with Seed Rocket, and they opened a lot of facilities and new ways that they were at the end, at the beginning, not able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you so much. I think we are done already. Loja, if you want to close the session? Okay.
Thank you so much, Clara. Thank you so much, all the panelists. It was such a pleasure.